Hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. In this video I want to talk to you about a very powerful function inside of Emacs called org capture. This is of course provided by the very powerful org mode. And what it does is it allows us to parse highly structured information in a very efficient, a very streamlined way. We do this by defining our own capture templates. A template is a piece of Emacs Lisp code that contains some predefined text or functionality that introduces text dynamically, and by doing so we can always have a very predictable way of storing information together with some data that we have anticipated in advance. What I want to do in this video is offer you a step-by-step introduction on how to write your own capture templates and show you some of the things you can do with them. With the proviso that this is not an exhaustive resource, this is not a replacement for the official documentation, this is just for you to get an idea of what this thing is and how it might be incorporated in your workflow. So with these out of the way, I just want to show you first how it will look, how the end result will look by using some of the functions, some of the templates rather, that I have already specified myself. Let's call the command org capture. I bind this to the key binding Control-C and the letter C, as you can see over here in this blue indicator in my mode line. And once you invoke org capture, you will be presented with all the available templates that you have defined. And then by hitting a key, you will select the corresponding template. Let me show you how this works in practice. Let's hit the letter R. So this is a rendezvous. And with whom are we supposed to have this meeting? This is a prompt that is configurable, of course. So let's say some person. Okay, and then again we get a prompt for a date. So when should this be? Let's just hit the return key now for the present date. This is the 4th of February 2020. So I can already see that the capture template has been filled in, and this is ready to be filed. This will be filed inside of a file that I have already specified. In this case, this is a file called meetings.org, and it will be filed under a specific heading as per my instructions in the template. Once you are done with the template, you hit Control-C twice, and this will be stored in the relevant location. But let's cancel this now, and then we can see ourselves how to do this from scratch. So let me comment out the functions that I already have, and let's start writing some of our own templates. Let's start with setQ, and this is org capture templates. I have it over here, good. And this is a list of lists, so it has to be like this, a quoted list. So let's start defining our first template. So you want to give it a unique key. So let's give it the letter D. And then you want to offer a description for you when you are presented with that pop-up window to know what this template is about. Let's call it demo template. And then you want to give it some special keyword. You have to consult the documentation for this. I will just be using the one that I use for my own cases. So this one over here, this is an entry, and this is an entry to a file and a headline. What you can do here, you have many options. You can have it to just a file, you can have it to a specific part of a file, lots of possibilities over here. Again, you will have to check the docs for all the trivia. But the idea here is that you can specify a file. Let's call this demo.org. When the file is not an absolute file system path, this is interpreted relative to the org directory that you have defined. The org directory is a variable. You can set that as well. I set it to the org directory inside of my home directory. You will see this in practice. So we have a file over here, and now let's have a heading. Our first heading, let's call it like this, and we close this. I like to write these on a new line, but of course it doesn't really matter. These could all be on the same line, but I prefer to have it like this. I think it is easier to read. And now this is the text of the template. Let's have this be a heading. So of course, as you know, in org mode, headings are represented with the asterisk sign at the beginning of the line. So this will be a heading, and we want to have some demo text at the beginning, and then this is a specifier, a special symbol. A specifier is a piece of data, a piece of functionality that is already provided by org capture, and by giving it now a symbol or a word, a special word, this will do certain things. This specific specifier, so the question mark preceded by the percentage sign, means to place the point, the cursor, at that specific location. So when we call this function over here, it will be presented with this piece of text that we have written in, and then an empty space, and then the point. So let's see this in practice. Let's evaluate this variable over here. So we have already declared our first template like this. Before I call this template, let me see if I have org over here. So you can see that this is my org directory. There is no demo file, but because we are declaring a specific file with a unique name for a directory, if the file does not exist, or if the heading does not exist, they will be created when we invoke the function. So let's call Control-C and the letter C, org capture, and you can see that I have the letter D over there for demo template, as I have already defined it over here. So let's hit the letter D, and you can see what happened here. This is the demo text, what I had written in, and then I can write some more. And of course, this is a standard piece of org mode text, so you can create some new lines as well, and have some more text, and you can have also any kind of information you want over here. Anything you can have inside of org mode, you can have it inside of this specific thing over here, because what this is standard piece of text that goes into an org mode file. Let's see this in practice. Let's hit Control-C twice. You can see in the header area over here, which means to confirm our choice. And let's go back to the org directory. Let's regenerate the buffer. You can see that we have this new file over here. Let's open the file, and you can see that it already has exactly what we told it to do. It has the initial heading under which we filed this entry, and the entry is this thing over here, exactly what we told it to do. So this looks very promising indeed. Let's see what else we can do with this. Let's come over here and let's copy this. We don't want to write everything again. What happened? Maybe, okay, yeah, let me focus this, because if you don't have it focused, it doesn't understand things very well. So we are here, okay? And we have copied this. So let's come over here and we will start writing another template. This time what we want to do is let's have it start with a prompt, and we want it to prompt us for input. Let's leave the others as they are. Let's leave it under our first heading. And this time, instead of demo text, let's have it prompt us for some text. And you do that by writing the specifier symbol, so the percentage sign, then the caret sign. The caret represents input, a prompt, and then we will give it some initial text. Let's say, please write here. So this is the initial text of the prompt, and we will be asked to write something over there. Then there will be an empty space, and then the point. So that looks good. Let's evaluate this. So we will do Control C and the letter C, and you can see that there is a new template over there, P prompt as for input, what we wrote over there. So we hit the letter P, and you see right now that we have please right here, and this is my input to the prompt. Okay? So we hit the return key, and you can see it wrote what I inserted over there, then a space, and then the point, exactly what we told it to do. Let's file this in. We want to go to the demo file and see. So you can see it's the first entry rather, as we had specified. So this thing over here, and then the second entry without any further text because we didn't write anything more. So this looks great. Let's see what else we can do with this. Let's now have another prompt which will have options. So let's write the letter O. Let's have options in prompt. And let's see what we can do now. Let's leave these as they are. Or we could do another heading. Let's see. Our second. Let's have it our second. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. But let's have it like this. So when you want to have multiple options inside of a prompt, you can specify each option by writing this sign over here, this character over here, the vertical line, and then you can have options 1, 2, and 3. So the way this works is that the first part, so this thing over here, will be the text of the prompt. So let's remove this and select your option. Okay. And then the options will be those 3 over here, separated by the vertical line. And then let's have the point as it is over there. So that looks good. Control C and the letter C. We have the letter O over there. Options for options in prompt. Let's hit the letter O. So you can see we can select our option. Let's select 3. And you see exactly what it did. So this looks very promising indeed. We file that in. We are certain it is over there. We can see it in practice. It is under our second heading this time. So things are looking very promising indeed. Let's now have another template which will let's have it like this. This will be a task with a date, and we want it to go under scheduled tasks. So this is a heading, and we want it to have prompt us for some text with some options, then to create a new line, then a space, and then the keyword scheduled like this. And we want it to insert the date, the present date, without prompting us for the date. Then we want it to have a new line, but no space here, another new line, then some more text, then space, and then the point. Okay? So let's see what we have done with this. Control C and the letter C. And let's now hit the letter T for task with a date. Again, it's asking us for the prompt. Okay, so you can see what it did now. It confirmed our input to the prompt, then the date, which is the current date, and then a new line, and then the text that we specified. Let's file this in. Again, let's confirm that everything is there. You can see under a new heading, scheduled tasks. This looks nice indeed. What else you can do with this? Let's have the same template like this. No, actually, let's not write a new one. Instead of some text over here, instead of this thing over here, let's have this specifier over here. It's the I specifier. And what this does is, if you have an active region, let's have it like this, and you hit Control C and the letter C, let's hit now T. You can see already what it did. Let's see, do it like this. It will take the active region and insert it right away where you specify the I specifier. So you can see how this worked again. This is very powerful because you will be reading something, you highlight it, you hit the relevant template, and you have saved that clip in the relevant location. Let's fill this in, and we know it's in place. We don't need to check the whole time. Okay, so that's very promising indeed. If you want to have a prompt for the time, you can do it by inserting a caret before the letter T. Let's just do the same thing we did before, and let's select this, Control C and the letter C, then T. Let's hit prompt, and then it is asking us for a date as per our instructions. When you are in this kind of window over here where you are asked for a date, you don't have to select the date, one at a time. You can be, for example, you can use, for example, a relative date. So, for example, today it's the 4th of February. Let's say I want plus 3 days from now, so plus 3D, and you can already see it is giving me a preview over here. So this is February. Let's say I want to make it until 2 days later. Let's make it 5, so you can see it is on Sunday the 9th. So let's have it like this, and you can see that it is scheduled for the 9th of this month, and then the rest of the template as we told it to do. Okay, so it filled that in. Now let's do something else. Let's now write a submenu with more templates, because what you are looking at here is one template at a time, but you can always have templates that are related to each other. So, for example, let's write the letter A right now, and this is, let's say, a random template. Okay, and this will be, this key, the letter A, will take us to a submenu with more templates. So we will have some more templates. Let's copy this so that we don't have to type the whole thing. And we can have, for example, A and T, and then for some specific thing over there, and then we can have another one which is A and A, which will give us something different. Let's have this submenu option T, and then this is submenu option A. Don't worry about the actual templates now. The principle is exactly the same with the templates, but the idea is that you define them. Just a second, because I might have unbalanced the parentheses somewhere. No, they look good. Okay. So the idea is that you just create a submenu. Let's do this in practice. You can see that the letter A has the ellipses, the 3 dots, and if we hit the letter A, we get to this submenu where if we hit the letter T or the letter A, we select the template that corresponds to this one. I don't need to show you again the same templates. You get the idea of what it is. For example, I have in my own templates over here, I have, for example, a heading for meetings. So this is a menu for meetings. And then inside of these meetings, I have some more templates that are specific to meetings. So one is appointments, the other is an event, and this is very nice indeed. What else you can do with templates? Let's actually delete this so that you can see what I have. Let me go here and uncomment this. So let me get my templates in place. As I said, you see that I have a meetings heading, and inside of this I have a couple of templates that belong to this one, so I can access them by hitting M and then the next letter. But what you can do with templates is you can assign them to a specific context. So as you can see further down over here, you can specify a context for your templates, so that in this case, for example, every template that is M or whatever will only be available when I am browsing my email client and newsreader, GNUs. I did this, I talked about GNUs in my previous video, so please refer to my backlog. So if I, for example, call Control-C and the letter C, you can see that there is no M entry over here because this belongs to GNUs. So it's not available here because this is not GNUs. You can see also that I have another one that is specified for GNUs. This is CP, but you can see that, let me show you rather. You can see that my C templates, so this is the contact information, you can see that I have several of them, and one of them, so this one in particular, is only meant to be accessed in my email interface, whereas the others can be accessed from anywhere. So let's do Control-C, Control-C, and then here we will select contact information, so C, and you can see that C and P, so this thing over here, is missing exactly because this is supposed to be presented in a GNUs interface, in the interface of my email client. Let me show you because inside of email interfaces you can have more specifiers such as this one, from name or from address or the subject of the email. So you can have things that are specific to email, and you can of course have links to buffers or files. This I also showed it in my previous video. So do I have GNUs? Do I have, I don't have it. Okay, so let's call GNUs. This might take some time now because I am recording and my hardware is underpowered, but don't worry, it will fetch the news. I have it fetch the news manually because the idea is that when I have time to check the news, I have time to act on them, right? So I had already, let's see, I think I had, so this is a demo comment. I am sending an email to myself, but the idea is, let me call org, let's open this actually. It doesn't matter if it's open or not, I have org capture to work for both. But now if I call org capture, Control-C and the letter C, you can see that I have the letter M over there for meetings. You can see that I have C and then P, so public at large. This is the specific part. So let me do the P. So you can see what happens here. It is giving me the name of the person who sent me this email, the email of that person. By the way, don't send me to this address, send me to public@protesilaos.com. This is just for mailing lists and Git. And then a link back to this email, so I can file this in, and then I have my own archive of correspondence with people. So consider this a memorandum of correspondence with this specific person. And of course, I don't want to do that now because I don't know who that person is. Let's close this. I think I have. I think I have another one so that I show you a meeting in 3 days at the city center, for example. Let's do this. I can now hit the letter M, which, as I said, was only available from inside of GNUs. So let's hit the letter M, and let's say this is an appointment. So you can see what is happening over here. It is asking me for, it is prompting me rather for a date. Let's say that this is in 3 days, so plus 3D. Let's fill that in. So you can see what I did here. I captured the subject of the email, so this is the subject. I gave it a date, and it took on its own the from part of the email. So in this case, both the name and the email of the person. Sometimes you don't have the name, so it can be done like this. And this is all possible without any kind of fancy code. I didn't write any kind of eLisp for this. This is built in, and this is, by the way, one of the advantages of using the built-in tools that come with Emacs, because the developers that write these things already know what to target. So for example, the org mode developers know that on every Emacs installation there is a GNU's package built in, and chances are that people are using it, and chances are that people will be able to make best use of these specifiers that they have provided over here, this integration that they have provided over here. So that's the very basic idea of what you can do with these templates. What you can do as an introduction is you can check the documentation for this variable over here. So Control HV over the variable will already populate the results over here. Org capture templates is what you are looking for, and you hit the return key. Obviously, because I have large text now for the demo, I need to enlarge this window, and it will provide you with all the information that you need. So for example, you can see what this special word entry, what I was using, what this is, and what the others are. You can see that you can just specify a file, or you can specify, rather than a headline, a unique headline, you can specify a specific tree, so level 1, level 2, etc., or a regular expression, whatever works for you, or a date tree, so a specific date and then file it under that date. There are lots of options here. If you are into the task of keeping track of your time, you can clock your captured templates. Personally, I don't do that, but you can see there are lots of things to do with this thing over here. It is very powerful, and this is where the specifiers are. Apart from the built-in specifiers, which concern all sorts of things, you can also evaluate any piece of arbitrary Emacs Lisp code. So if you also know how to write good eLisp, you will definitely have a good time writing templates rather, for org capture. And you can see over here, for example, the specifiers that are for GNUs. You can see it, how it is. The others are also, some of these are also part of the standard Emacs. So you can see what the advantages are to using built-in packages such as with this one. Of course, if you know how to write eLisp, you can copy these functions and adapt them to your own email client or to your own specific contexts. But that's another discussion altogether. So that's all for now, folks. I will add the link in case you want to copy these templates, but the idea is that you shouldn't copy my templates or someone else's. The idea is that you should be inspired by what others are doing, and then try to think about what makes sense for your specific workflow, and start writing your own templates to fit your workflow and to satisfy your particular needs. Anyway, that's all for now, folks. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye for now.